There she is, there she is, there's what keeps me up at night. Oh gee whiz, there's why I can't eat a bite. Those flaming eyes, that flaming youth. Oh mister, oh sister, tell me the truth.
Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Reeling Midnight. It was written by Tom Lynch, and it's included in a collection called New Tales of the Miskatonic Valley. Our game master is Tyler Hudak, and this is episode 7. Our recap will be given by David Gassaway as his character, Thaddeus Vanderbilt. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. David?
Thank you, Tom. When Eugene's parents first asked us to look into the Varga affair, I thought it might be an amusing distraction. Now, several young men are dead, gravely ill, or hopelessly insane. When we invited the medium, Vinch, to perform a seance here at the house, I thought we might expose him or tap him for useful information. Instead, he seemed genuinely to be possessed. The house shook, my mother's beloved teak table was sundered in two as if struck by lightning, and the curious German stabbed himself with long, venomous fangs. When my colleagues saw the bodies in the morgue, though they died of different apparent causes, they bore the same sets of wounds. And we've since learned that just a few years ago, Ariadne Varga was called Ariadne Madden, and she was no heiress, but a young American woman turning to pornography to make ends meet. She and Zoltan know the jig is up, and they're leaving town. But first hosting one last party. Dr. Bentz is convinced that it is to supply one final clutch of spider offspring for the hateful god Atlach Nacha.
All right, and where last we left off, Thaddeus had been talking to, sorry, my mind just completely went blank, to Glenda, and she had revealed that the Vargas party was still going on. However, it had been moved up a day because, as Ariadne had told her, they had to leave town early. So when we left off, I believe it was Wednesday evening. Benjamin and Harvey had just returned from Boston, or earlier in the day, they had returned from Boston to talk to the proprietor up there that Zoltan was supposed to meet with on Thursday, Hal Partland at Partland Photography. And with that, I believe you were all in the detective's office. Just for ease, we'll say that it's Wednesday evening. I can't remember exactly what time we left off, but we'll say evening.
Okay. So we were right about the fraud.
Yeah.
We could get the police to just arrest them for public fraud.
I'm not sure. I suppose, well, they could have legally changed their names and then their rental lease wouldn't be fraudulent. Unless they're doing business, and I don't think they have any formal income here.
As far as I'm aware, no.
Well, I think that simply to impersonate royalty or nobility from another country is probably illegal. However, that doesn't answer the question, is what's going on here? Who's murdering people?
Unless they're doing business as entertainer names, if they have that going on, but I don't think that's the case.
I don't think it's murder. The whatever it is that they experience with Ariadne is sending them on patterns of self-destruction, and they eventually
Die somehow,
yeah.
whether by heart attack or fire or wanting to shoot themselves. But the marks are the same. In
Well, do
fact,
we wait until the party, or do we go and confront them?
in fact,
I'm afraid. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
In fact, I'd wager that our unfortunate accountant should have the same marks.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least.
If we wait to the party, though, I fear maybe someone else might die. I don't know if we have.
Well, I mean, if we go to the party, I mean, I would pardon my language, but cause one hell of a ruckus to disrupt the bacchanal part of it.
Yeah, we know that they don't perform the ceremony until midnight, so we'd have some time. And if we went while there were other people around, we'd have a lot more freedom of movement than if we showed up and banged on their door.
Right. And they don't know we're onto them, at least somewhat.
Well, I don't know why else they would be skipping town.
Well, I think they know that things are getting out of control.
Or
They can't really have been doing this racket for the last 3 years. Where the Hungarian came into it.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like if this sort of thing were going on, it would have been going on for quite a while. We would have heard about something.
I mean, if they ever got busted, it would make the papers for sure. It's a perfect society story.
And we still don't know what the purpose is.
We don't know where they're getting their money, but he had a fat roll of cash, she said.
what if we don't want people to go to the party? Yes, or I mean, we don't want it to. I'm trying to think of a way that we could go about it without confronting them ourselves. I mean, I don't know how they're going to react, or if they're, I mean, we could tell them that we know, and then they're going to throw the party anyway. You know, what if we leaked it to our reporter friend?
I was just about to suggest that. We still have the contact at the Gadabout, and I have I have to give her contact information to a student anyway.
Well, we can't tell people that there's some giant spider involved.
Well, leave the spider part out, but at least expose them for being frauds. Dangle the pictures in front of her. I'm sure she'll salivate at that.
Did you take the pictures?
I think I took the pictures. I want him to give Zoltan. Oh, Zoltan's going tomorrow to get the pictures.
That's right.
No,
we'll have access to the house.
You told them we would have access to the house, but I thought you told the person with the pictures to pretend to say that you never were there.
Correct. I want him to not tip Zoltan off, so he can go ahead and sell him the pictures. I don't care, but there will be a period when Zoltan has to leave to go get those pictures. We might be able to confront Ariadne directly.
And if we, as we said, if we drop the hint about the fraud to the Gadabout, we have about a day's lead time before the party.
The party is tomorrow. I don't know when the
Right.
Gadabout actually prints. It might be too late for that.
It's a column in the daily paper, as far as I know.
But again, when do they print it?
Most.
The night
Usually
before.
print, if you get it
Because I mean, if it's printing right now, then it's too late for our information to do anything about the party.
But it could be in the afternoon papers.
If we do confront, if we can separate them and we confront Ariadne, what would be our goal of that? She would simply deny everything. There's no law against telling some people that your name is a different name and you're pretending it's something. They're not breaking a law. They're not robbing anybody.
Unless we confront her with what happened with Vinch at her seance, if Atlak Naha came through instead of her mother, foaming at the mouth, strange. If anything like what happened with us happened then, that might be something.
I guess it's what is it that we want? I want to know what happened to Eugene. I want to know what it is that happens at midnight a few minutes after they go up there that causes this to happen.
And you're not going up there yourself, young man.
I quite value my life, Father, so I wasn't going to figure out myself directly.
What have we learned about this Atlak Nacha, other than that it's some sort of a spider deity?
It provides youth and beauty indefinitely in return for its offspring being presented to it, which presumably involves some sex act, perhaps while possessed by the thing, right? Maybe all of these young men kill themselves after the eggs hatch out of them.
Except that Eugene was up there for literally minutes.
Well, Eugene killed himself.
Right.
Eugene,
before he didn't have any bite marks on him.
Right, and Vinch didn't appear to be hatching eggs. Vinch bit himself. So the wounds are fangs. But I don't think I don't believe this spider can lay eggs through her fangs.
But I mean, we're talking about this spider goddess. What are we even talking about?
Armand asked rather.
And if
that's what we know.
And please, if anyone can explain anything that happened with the seance, at this point, nothing's off the table, and I'm not exactly a believer in the supernatural.
Well, this is, I guess, what I'm trying to examine. Something caused Eugene to become obsessive. And it's probably something that Ariadne was supplying, because she seemed to have an intoxication about her that men were drawn to her. I found myself drawn to her. I'm just more of an adult. But that's, if she could draw a man in, then she could get something out of him. Now, we've got some names, actually. I'm going to jump on something else, but we've got Ariadne Madden, and we've got Mr. McCoy. Why don't we look them up? For all we know, they're local people from,
Well, probably if she was doing her pornographic posing in Boston, it's because she was resident up there. And obviously nobody in town recognizes them around here.
Well, your theory with this Atlak Nacha is that she's gaining life and beauty. But what if she's only 25 years old? She's not gaining anything at all. She's already young and beautiful. But
right,
if we find out she's been living there for 50 years.
Right. But you saw poor Blaylock. That level of obsession isn't normal 25-year-old youth and beauty.
No.
Glenda's a cute gal, but there aren't a series of men become obsessed with her to the point that they need to see her or die.
And so solely because one is young and beautiful doesn't mean she might not want to have more of it.
But when the police were confronting her about what happened in the room, she seemed as unaware as anybody else. So with your spider goddess theory, how would you not be aware that you made a deal for eternal life?
It could also be possible that she might not be aware of what exactly happens when the goddess enters her body.
Do you think that Vinch remembers saying, get away, intruders, I am the mother Atlak Nacha? Or do you think that even if he hadn't been poisoned, that would not have been part of his memory? I don't believe in, I've never experienced a trance state myself, but she doesn't necessarily know what's going on. If she was a young girl hustling in Boston when he found her, and he has some connection to, was it Hyperborea, Dr. Bentz?
I believe so.
Yes. He has the convincing accent available to him, although, the name McCoy doesn't suggest that he's really Hungarian. And Armand, the photographer, when he gave you their names, he would have thought those names were strange if they had thick Eastern European accents, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention that she's only supposed to have been in the country for 6 months.
I think if I were to become dispassionate about everything that I've already seen, I would almost say this is a drug deal. That she's supplying these boys with some sort of drug, and if they don't get the drug, they lose their minds and shoot themselves or stab themselves, or maybe they die from what looks like poison, but in fact it's a withdrawal symptom of some drug that she's giving them. Now, I'm not saying she's giving them a drug, but it feels like that. She's giving them something that's making them attached to her so that they can't get away.
That is largely consonant with my impression. And of course, we've talked about a lot of slipped Mickeys and whatnot, but all the corpses having sets of fang marks that are identical, unless this drug is injected with a double syringe that's very large bore.
And we also have what we witnessed ourselves with Gerhard, in that the voice that came out of him was not a human voice. I mean, you all heard that. There's no human voice I've ever heard that sounded like that. That something else was making that sound.
If he's such a clever technician that he could make his eyes glow red, grow and recede fangs, and speak in an unearthly voice like that, he'd be much better off just having a regular performance job than going from house to house.
So what if, for the sake of an argument, just indulging the idea, what if there was some sort of an entity on the other side, and somehow through hypnosis or drug use, whatever, somebody has unlocked a door and the thing is trying to get through? I mean, look at our seance guy. His intention is simply to contact the dead spirit, but somehow something is waiting on the other side and it took him over. Maybe when she gets into bed for her pleasure, something takes her over and comes out. And maybe she might not even be aware of it.
My confusion is it selective still? I mean, she's sleeping with this McCoy fellow, isn't she?
It seems like
And
that.
he's not
Very
dead.
funny.
But he's got. Oh, you mean Zoltan?
Yeah,
I have a funny feeling that their relationship was probably professional in the beginning. He met her, and then they figured they could grift together, and maybe they slept together a few times, but then, she's got to make money.
A little slap and tickle on the way into the car seems like they're still in the thing, and Zoltan seems jealous, but they go through with it.
But if it's a drug, she gives the boys a drug, they manifest this thing on the other side and they fight themselves.
So, but I mean, why is she keeping Zoltan around?
Maybe he's got something on her. Obviously, he's got photographs of her naked.
Well, he doesn't. He's going to buy them.
Yeah, but he knows they exist. He knows what she is.
Yeah, he knew what she was years ago.
She might equally have something on him.
For a slightly more mundane reason, it could just be he's in love with her and can't get out.
I don't know.
Feelings make people do crazy things.
Yeah,
is there a crazy 9-legged love goddess that is controlling Zoltan's actions?
I don't think that spiders have 9 legs. I think they have
8. They have 8.
No, but you see, the
Garland
love
was
goddess.
positing another god.
Yeah, that's not a spider god with 8 legs. This is the love god with 9. Not a spider, love god, different thing.
Oh, okay.
The lad's skeptical. I raised him right.
But there are, as the bard says, there are more things in heaven and on earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy. So
Well, I'm
maybe
not a
there is
bard.
something on the other side. Maybe we don't know that much about mesmerism and hypnotism. Maybe it does unlock things.
We need to catch her somehow in the act. If we're assuming that these feats happen in that bedroom at midnight, then we need to find a way of getting a pair of eyes or a couple of pair of eyes in there.
But I mean, what if it's, witnessing something? But I mean, what good would watching Eugene shoot himself do us?
Well,
Like, we want to stop somebody from going on the spiral.
Right? Precisely. With the intervention would happen prior to that. We'd be able to see what's going on if there's some sort of drug admission, something surprising, having a way to intervene.
But
we would have proof of what's happening. We'd have witnesses of what's happening. We'd also have the ability to stop what's happening. And we would also then have the ability to press charges and take her into custody if something nefarious is going on.
You say we could stop it from happening, but we tried to get in. We had a devil of a time getting in.
Precisely.
After Eugene. That's
why I'm thinking of the next solution here perhaps would be is to find a way, if they step out of the house, if there's a window, right, that we can get maybe two. Is there a way we could perhaps get that window ajar without?
Well, we definitely can hide outside. It's a window. You can smash it open if you need to.
Yeah. So we could
through it if you need to.
We could use that as a point of entry, especially since Ben, you and I probably won't be allowed into the party. Just the rest of them would be allowed in, but I don't think after our confrontation with them earlier, they may want us in. So it might be good for us to be outside, perhaps in that vicinity.
Also, we have to think in the other direction. We have to think in the direction of the law. If we confront them and we don't have any evidence, then it's not, we're going to be the ones who get in trouble for, even if we witness something, we can be getting in trouble for accusing somebody of something ridiculous, turning into a spider and eating somebody.
Well, this is why you probably should have taken those photographs, or at least gotten Heartland on our side as a witness, if nothing else, to the fraud.
Well, I can call Callie at the paper and tell her that we have Zoltan and Ariadne's given names from 3 years ago, and even that Zoltan plans to pay to recover the photographs of lascivious nature in the park in the morning. And, she'll get a photographer and get up to Boston on the overnight.
Yeah.
That'll interfere with the immediate threat. No one will probably be consumed or possessed or hypnotized at the party tomorrow. But then they're leaving town. They'll change names and they'll do the whole grisly whatever it is somewhere else. I feel like the only satisfactory result is one which prevents them from carrying on this dangerous fraud.
If we can get them arrested for perpetrating a public fraud, at least at the very worst, it might get them thrown out of town. And that's what they want to do anyway. But
lighter charges. But
can you think of a crime, Harvey? We don't know what their income is, but I can't see anything that many meaningful charge in this is the problem.
Yeah.
Tax evasion?
Yeah, tax evasion. That's we'd have to find out who they really are.
Well, if they weren't leaving town tomorrow or the day after, rather, it's true. I bet the G-men would like to know that these guys are carrying bundles of money around and traveling under assumed names. That's probably something, but it's not for the short term.
Yeah.
And we don't know where they're going.
If you want, you guys can give me a idea roll.
Yes, please.
Do I have an idea?
7, extreme success.
32. Regular.
A 70 is just a regular level of idea.
So for those who made it, as you start thinking about, how long that this is going on, at least weeks to months, where they've been in our Arkham, at least under these personas, they've probably been doing it for some reason. And I think you've basically come to the conclusion that they're some type of con men. And
Right.
if that's the case, and if they're planning on, at least according to your information, leaving tomorrow, that means that their end game is pretty close. And so tomorrow, they will likely have, any, potentially any illicit gains or, whatever they've done at their house before they leave. And so that might be a way to get evidence against them.
That's
Right.
I think we're
They
looking
certainly
at,
don't want to have gone to all the trouble and then have a party and leave. Not gain
In
anything.
that case, perhaps then we don't drop a line to the gadabout, but maybe get Zoltan out in the morning, find some way to distract Ariadne, or some of us distract Ariadne while the others look for anything
it's
incriminating.
not just Zoltan and Ariadne. There's somebody else with them.
Oh, the
maid.
maid.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she had a snub nose 32 in each of her boots.
I think not tipping our hand, not confronting them, not putting anything in the papers, but actually going to the party ourselves, we have the best chance to look around unobserved during the event where there's lots of people and they're focused on pulling off whatever it is that they're trying to. So they have other considerations. I think we'll be able to be the most undetected.
In which case then, I think since Mr. Belvedere, you said you and Mr. Armand probably cannot go into this next party, perhaps the Vandermollens and myself will be the distractions while you two get in there and look for anything especially incriminating.
You don't have to distract. I don't know what you mean by us being a distraction. I don't want to call attention to ourselves. I think we just need to look around without causing
I don't
ruckus
want
and
to put you in
telling
any
for the Bach
danger
and all.
either.
Right.
Harvey and I will definitely be nearby, probably outside the window.
It seems
I'd
like.
to
Go ahead.
I just would like to see what happens. Does she slip them a drug? Does she, toss a dart that's got a poison tip that,
Do her eyes glow red and does she grow fangs?
right? Does she hypnotize them and they glow red and grow fangs? And
if they're looking to skip town, we also might want to, I don't know, maybe bring a car jack and just kind of jack up their rear two tires a little bit so they don't go anywhere.
Do they have their own vehicle or are they cabbing around?
They were cabbing when you saw them.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Vehicles have traceable licenses and things. It's much easier to roll it into town on the train, throw money around and declare
you
yourself
have the
royal.
police arrest them at the train station.
Just that.
We need to get evidence against them first before we can have the police arrest anybody.
Exactly.
Well, we'd have it if we stay at the party and they do something.
Yeah, we got to find out what's going on there. And the only way to do that is to get there.
The thing is that Ariadne seems to gad about a fair amount during the day, so she can invite people to her soirees and whatnot. Social creature, and he'll be on the way to Boston and back. If we could get the damn maid out of the house, I would like more than anything to put some photographic equipment inside that bedroom. But I don't think we'll be able to get her out of the house, and we'd have to get an expert in to try to arrange that all. And
We don't have enough time.
it doesn't seem workable.
Yeah.
But given that the door will be stuck shut, that she only brings one man up at a time, it's just, good God.
There is
You
that
had-
dressing room. There's that side room and a closet. I just wonder if one of us could slip in.
Well, and I was thinking Armand had little trouble sneaking around upstairs to the last party. One of us could slip into Ariadne's room and hide under the bed. And then we'd have a witness and presence.
Probably shouldn't be me. I'm too big for most spaces under beds.
Before we start hiding, here's the thing. I think that if they're going to perpetrate a public fraud, it's going to be tomorrow night. And we need to catch them in the act. So Harvey and I will simply be waiting with the police when they attempt to leave. And then you guys will be able to be witnesses to what the public fraud is. Are they bilking people out of money? It's got to be money.
But how do we prove? So one of the three of us who will be inside will have to try and look for any evidence of this public fraud. Or when they leave, how are we supposed to arrest them?
It should become fairly obvious because they've got to be getting money out of the people who are there.
We weren't seeing any transactions previously, though. What was the sad man wanting to talk to Zoltan about?
Oh, he was the one who wanted to hear about his life story for his book.
Right.
And I told him I would drop a bug in Zoltan's ear, which I did, but I don't think anything came of it.
No, and we've learned that the parties have been getting more lavish rather than less, even though supposedly they're needy refugees. So I think whatever income they're accruing through whatever means, which do not necessarily have to do with the bacchanal.
They've been telling us the story of them wanting to go home, to regain their kingdom. If they ask for donations to help them financially, that is a public fraud. Because they are not Hungarians. They are not.
Yeah, they could be. Yeah, those could be fraud charges.
That's a
fraud,
criminal
yes.
offense.
Well, I mean, Belvedere, you're the lawyer. If they had a public fund get the Vargas back home, and it had a tax ID number and whatnot, that would be a public fraud. If they just
there'd be
put on a hard luck story and people feel sympathy and give them gifts of money,
that's still a public fraud.
It's going to be a lot harder to act on. And how can you prove the money that they have is from that?
What if we barge in right at midnight and accuse them? We'll have all of the people there as witnesses. Whatever they've been bilked out of, they'll suddenly be like, what? Everybody will turn on them.
Maybe 11:30 rather than waiting for the majesty to happen. But just say, hear ye. His name is actually Devin McCoy. And we can prove it. But then that suggests, again, we should get Callie and a photographer up to Boston in the morning so that we do have proof.
And we can let the lawyers worry about the proof afterwards.
They're very popular. If we just say this guy's a fraud, the crowd might turn on us and not on them.
If we drop the name Partland and the photos, that might make Zoltan.
I don't have the photos.
Right, but even saying that we know about the photos.
But then they're
most likely it'll make them turn around and run, but we have to catch them.
Well, we'll make them turn around and run, or they're just going to say they're going to accuse us of lying.
Then we get the photos. I mean, we've got them. They know they're guilty. They're not confused. Besides, people are going to believe us over them.
What makes you so sure about that?
Because we're Bostoners. They're not.
Other than them claiming that they're, who they are not. That's the only thing we really have them hard on right now. We don't have any direct evidence of extortion or money gathering. I mean, this is supposition. We've seen some cash, but not vast quantities of cash.
And for that matter, he was trespassing when he found the cash in the man's bureau.
Nobody stopped me. Nobody said I couldn't go upstairs and look around.
Somebody told me that.
Yeah, I think that it's not, again, going to bring public sympathy. I was sleeping through the guy's bedroom, and I found that he had a lot of cash, but I didn't take it.
People don't like to be tricked, especially by people who are claiming to be rich, wealthy,
so I think
aristocrats.
Even if we don't use them for the reveal, we need hands on those photos. So at this point,
It's too
We
late
might
for
need-
that.
Yeah, I think that's settled.
And people don't like being tricked, but they're also very embarrassed by it. And so that could work against us too, because they don't want to face the fact that they've been duped.
Well, I think one thing's for certain, and especially along those lines as well, that we have to be at that party. We need to infiltrate the party and get better answers than what we have now.
The trouble, we don't know enough to have a definitive plan. I feel like we're just going to have to play this by ear and try to, ferret out what's going on.
Our plan is to expose them and see what happens. And the thing is, we know right now, if they challenge our exposure, they will lose because they are frauds.
I don't know that.
What they certainly can't produce documentation showing that they are aristocrats.
Yeah,
But they're very
they
popular.
lost it all. They lost it all in Hungary. They had to run so fast.
Except that
they were
we
running for their lives. They
we've
stole
got
jewelry.
their birth certificates from Boston. or whatever.
Armand, they just have to stall long enough to get out of town. They just have to placate an angry mob and then skip.
I will say this: you got one point there, Armand. If you can get copies of their documentation from Boston before the party tomorrow, then you have something. Otherwise, you just have a couple of names, and they could have been born anywhere in the country and ended up in Boston 3 years ago.
And
3 years ago.
McCoy still might not even be his real name.
Yeah, I didn't assume that either one of them were using their real names necessarily. But if that's where it all started, at least that's a start. If you can find that there was a girl born 28 years ago in the greater Boston area whose name was Ariadne Madden, and Ariadne is pretty uncommon,
Right.
then you could have a document that would, generate, I think, real interest. Otherwise, you're going into a popular person's house. People have been pouring their hearts out to them for months, drinking their liquor. They love these clowns. Who knows? Maybe 20 young men are already Eugene obsessed with her, and they'll just drag us into the street and beat us to a pulp.
In
Now, we
that
did some
case-
kind of documentation.
Then why don't we just let them leave? What are we hoping to do to these people?
We're hoping to stop what they did here from happening in other places. There could be 10 other boys we don't know about.
The only way we can do that is by exposing them. We
If
certainly can't gun them down on the street.
No.
if we can find those documents, drop them to Callie, and then have her arrive at the appropriate moment.
We
You
have.
know what?
we
She's
have-
probably would be faster at finding that sort of stuff. She's got connections all over the place.
Exactly. We might need to bring her in if we want to have any hope of having a master stroke for this.
We'll call her. I mean,
All right.
So you've all been talking for a while, and
Certainly have.
so it has
39 minutes.
in game time. We'll say it's much longer than that. So it is nighttime, probably about 8:30 by this point. You can if Sybil, if you're calling over to, or whoever is calling over, it's too late to get a hold of her at the newspaper. But you are able to leave a message.
All right. Mr. Vandermolen, you're the one who had contact with her previously. Perhaps you should be the one to make this call.
Sure. And if it's only a message, I'll say, because I don't know who at the newspaper office is transcribing it. It's Thaddeus Vandermolen calling. We have information on the pair that Callie was interested in. We know that they were using different names 3 years ago in Boston, and those names were Devin McCoy and Ariadne Madden. And we'd like to get some documentation if those names might have been legit.
Okay.
They're leaving town in 2 days.
So Paige or whoever at the paper says that they will take the message. I assume you leave a number to get back, that she can get back to you, and says that she will call you back, or they give her the message and she'll probably call you back in the morning.
Yep. So I suggest we all get a rest. Maybe some ingenious idea will come to us in our sleep, or maybe we'll just dream of eight-legged monsters.
No.
Yes,
Right.
I don't think I'll obviously be very well tonight, but I'll try.
Okay. So then you, unless I hear otherwise, you adjourn for the night. Sleep is probably as you expect. So for some of you, it's restless. For some of you, I won't say you have nightmares, but your dreams are a little uneasy, and morning eventually comes. So it is Thursday. Thaddeus, you receive a call around 9 a.m. It is from Callie Smith. She, thanks you for the tip and asks, how can I help you with that? What are you looking to do?
Well, they're skipping town tomorrow, which was ahead of plan. So they're having their last big soiree tonight. We think that they've been bilking people out of money, but it's not very clear what the mechanism is. I don't, we haven't heard of them selling shares in some Hungarian gold mine. But if we get all of their fans tonight to see Ariadne Madden's birth certificate and prove that they're phonies and that's why they're running out of town, then maybe somebody will pipe up and say, but I lent Zoltan $1,500 and I lent him $2,000. And then we'll have a bit of a scene. And maybe if we can't detain them, at least get them tailed to wherever their next racket is set up.
Okay. She says, well, where do you think that they're from?
They were in Boston when they used these names 3 years ago. Okay. I wondered if you had, if you could get other papers to look in their morgues for birth announcements or something.
Yeah, I can put in a couple. I've got some friends up at the Boston Globe. I can put in some queries into there, and hopefully they'll get back to me today. I can't guarantee it though. Since it's there's a lot to go through for both of them. So, but I'll do it, and I'll see what type of information I can get back.
Yeah, and maybe we might send somebody up to look at all the records too, if we can figure it out. And I'll share any more I get. You also, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I know that they won't admit you to the parties anymore, but if you want to park down the block with a photographer tonight, there might be something interesting going on.
Okay. Yeah, I will definitely do that.
All right. Thanks, Kelly. I'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you. And I'll let you know if I find anything. She hangs up. What are the rest of you doing, at least in the morning?
I don't know. I probably have things that I do at my office, checking on other cases, but
okay.
I'm racking my brains trying to find some way that we can have them all arrested and thrown in jail.
As an attorney, I would probably know how people could legally change their names. Maybe research that. That would be state, I believe, state records.
Well, here's the thing. If they change their names and they want to be new people, that's maybe legal.
That is.
But to pretend that you are something that you're not is a fraud.
Oh, exactly. But I just want to go down this avenue, just to make sure we're not. This could also backfire on the detective agency. And, if we,
all we have to do is say, we're sorry, we were wrong. Walk away. So.
Well, now I'm wondering, and, maybe I would call Armand with this notion. Birth records are public, are they not? They're just kept at City Hall and anybody can see them. So you saw how old Ariadne looked 3 years ago in those pictures. She's 22 or whatever. So if her name is really Madden and she's born in Boston, then you might actually be able to get a birth certificate for her.
Yeah, if we can find out where she was born.
Right. It would only work if she were from Boston.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a long trip for nothing.
Well,
but
and if we get the right hospital and we get the right.
Well, it would be City Hall. You wouldn't have to
Yeah,
go to the hospital.
Those would be in the papers. Now,
County.
right. And now, see, I'm much more used when it comes to research and such. So I know we've got Callie looking at other places to sort of uncover their mechanism, but I could go up to Boston and look for and do some research myself.
I guess our gamble is that they're from Boston.
Right.
So, I mean, if they could be from anywhere, but they could be from Boston. If they're from Boston, then we'll get lucky.
And how long
Right.
does it take us again to get from here to Boston and back?
By train, it's about an hour. By car, it would probably be 2 or 3.
That's right. Okay.
I can hop a train, go when I find anything, call Mr. Armand, and if I end up missing the party, I'm not particularly useful in action type situations anyway.
Did you actually mean it that way, or did you accidentally reverse it? Because usually, no, I'm talking to the keeper. Because usually driving by car is a lot faster than taking the train, because the train stops every 15 minutes.
Good point. So, it would probably be a little bit less for the car then. But all right. So let me kind of just to because stepping outside and metagaming just a little bit. And I think for some of you, these thoughts might be going through your head or your PC's heads. I mean, even if you get the birth certificate, how is that going to prove that they aren't who they say they are? The birth certificate does not have pictures on them. I mean, they can very easily say, no, that's not me.
Right. Like, there's just somebody else also named Ariadne who was born in Boston.
Yeah, we'd have to backtrack their actual names, and if they have it.
Again, but again, how do we there's so much paper trail that we need that might not even lead anywhere, and we don't have time.
Yeah, that's it. We don't have time. We'd have to somehow find it.
And we're going to take the copy of the birth certificate from Boston. How are we going to get it to show?
Here's a couple of things. One is it's in the 1920s. We don't necessarily have to prove it. We have to implicate them. And once we've implicated them, hopefully they'll implicate themselves. They'll confess. And if we can get them to confess, then we've confessed.
There's no shortage of people who we could drop bugs in ears to that have some reach. If I were to track down that author again and tell them, guess what? I found some. And he has every reason to believe me. If I tell him they're frauds, they're not actually European, and
they might get away. Get away. We'll have to hunt them down.
I don't think Eugene was the only one who was upset by the fact that people are trying to discredit them. You could go and say those things, and then they're going to come back and say, you've just joined the people attacking them. They don't need to be attacked. They need to be helped. We need to, whatever it is that we're going to expose them with, we have to find at that party and wheel it out, whatever it is.
And Garland, and Garland, I think as you would be thinking along these lines, your best way to prove that they've done something, it may not necessarily be fraud, but murder. And if you can prove that Ariadne or Zoltan had something to do with any of the two victims that you found, or Eugene causing them to actually, be murdered, then that may be a better way to proceed. And that evidence is going to be in the house, most likely, not up in Boston.
Right. Yeah. We need to find. I mean, we need to find what we need to. we just need to find what they did, what they did to Yuji, what they did to everybody else. That's what we need to find and show people.
So the only thing to do before the party, since we know Zoltan, the time of Zoltan's meeting this morning, Zoltan's on his way up to Boston now, presumably. It was an 8 o'clock in the morning meeting? Maybe
10, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was 10.
10. So, right. So if we're speaking at a reasonable hour, then he's probably on his way there. We can go and somebody can go to the front door and somebody can break in a basement window, or we can wait for the party. And I think those are the only two options.
But if we get caught breaking in before we have anything for our case, then we're the ones who are going to spend the night in jail.
Well, have a lot of explaining to do at least.
And given the way that Benjamin has acted as a detective and a lawful person, I would also question whether he would be willing to break and enter into some place where it could very easily backfire on you.
It's true. The man's not into bribery, so B&E might be out of the question.
No.
Although it is different. Nobody's asking him for a bribe. We're just asking.
I'm not stealing anything either. I'm doing it because I'm trying to find out who's breaking.
Yeah, it's true. You were happy to snoop around upstairs. You just left the money where you found it.
Sure.
But I mean,
and the hair.
But you have been invited to the party too, so.
And I mean, if they are, they're dangerous, right? I mean, the people that they've been interacting with die, and they're ready to skip town, and you go there alone.
Right.
Who
That's
knows
the
what
big
they're
thing.
going to do?
If
At
we
the party, they're
expose them,
less
they
likely.
could
Yeah,
pull
they're
out
less
guns.
likely to do anything like that if it's at the party.
Then
If you go there by yourself and things go wrong, that's
all right. Then I
Yeah,
suppose the only thing to do at this point is wait for tonight. It's the only option open to us.
Yeah.
Harvey and I are going to dress in black so that we can hang around outside and not be seen.
I mean, I wonder if you'll really be barred. Did you offend all of them or just Zoltan?
I just don't want to give them a reason to call off their plan. I want them to go through with whatever their plan is.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I am 99.9% convinced it's got to be money. Because why else?
There's certainly money involved.
They want
But
money.
we don't know where they're getting
run
it.
away. They're throwing a party and inviting people over. They've got to be getting it from the people somehow. Maybe they're privately asking them for.
All right. So I suppose, are we going with the plan that Mr. Belvedere and Mr. Armand stay outside while the three of us go into the party and snoop?
Yeah. And we'll be in there. Probably somebody at the front door and somebody at the window upstairs.
And happily, young Glenda is a welcome guest. So if they look a little askance at me, she'll vouch for me. And the two of you look pretty guest worthy.
I can talk to some of my police friends and see if I can convince them to just conveniently be outside around 11:45, without coming in case something happens.
And we do have Callie at the ready. So
it sounds like you've got your plan here. Is anybody going to, I guess, prepare or gather anything special? I guess.
On the top of my
Oh
head,
my God.
I'll probably just both pull them out.
the only
Wise
thing
waters.
the only thing I do is as I'm dressing for the party is that I have this like cameo that I never really take off, and I really haven't before. But this time I make sure to really put it in a prominent place and sort of run my thumb over it for luck.
Okay.
I will not be bringing anything with me that is special. I don't want to bring a gun. I don't want to bring a weapon. There's nothing for me to smuggle into this place. So I'm just going to,
You should, Garland, but at the same time, you should run. if something starts happening. Get the hell out. All of you. Let the people with guns take care of the problem if there is.
Yeah, if there is.
Get under the furniture, hide in a closet, whatever.
And Thaddeus?
I'm not going to tell any of these people, but I'm going to put a long, thin knife in my boot, because I'm not entirely uncertain that I'm not going to try to hide under that bed. It's hard to get in that room. But I don't think I'd be any use with, I kind of, I'm all right with a hunting rifle, but I don't think I want to carry a handgun to a madhouse. I'm not kidding about that maid probably carrying a couple of snub-nosed revolvers. Other than that, no, I think maybe Bloody Marys in the afternoon to fortify the nerves.
So as the day wears on, you're all kind of preparing yourself. Thaddeus, Callie does call you back. She says that unfortunately they have not dug up any type of birth certificates or anything like that. Although they did find a story from a couple years ago of a Ponzi scheme that was broken up by some Boston detectives, and that a man named Devin McCoy was convicted to aiding and abetting from that scam and sentenced to a year in prison, but they haven't been able to find anything else other than that.
Oh, that's fantastic, Callie, because we can probably once we've got an actual legal matter like that in hand, if we can get the fellow in Boston to acknowledge that Devin McCoy and Zoltan Varga are one and the same, then we finally have a lead as to why he's so flush, despite apparently being desperate. So if we don't get them tonight, we have them, when they try to run. I think that's the sort of thing the feds are into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And she agrees with you and says, I already have a photographer lined up. We'll be down the road, and we'll probably be sitting in the car waiting to see if we hear any commotion. Although I'm sure we'll drive by the house or sneak up every once in a while just to get a better view. Not do anything to try to get in unless we see something's going on.
That sounds great. I think it's fortuitous that we met that first night when you were being kicked out, because this might be the end of their shenanigans.
And you can hear a kind of gleeful cackle coming from the other side of the phone. She's definitely taking this a little bit more than just with a professional interest.
Personal, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Tonight. Bye.
So the party begins at 8:00. What time do you all want to go there?
8:15.
Okay.
Fashionably late.
A little fashionably late. Okay. You all head over. The night, by the time you get there, it is dark out. It's a cool night, slightly overcast, although the moon is shining. So it does give you some light, although there are enough clouds that the moon kind of disappears and reappears every so often. When you get there, Harvey and Benjamin, what are you going to do?
We're going to, like I told you, we're all dressed in black, so we're kind of off in the shadows. I want to see if I recognize any extremely wealthy people going into the party. Like Mr. Vanderbilt or Mr. Rockefeller, or somebody that I would suspect would be the person getting fleeced.
Yeah. So by the time you get there, it is, fairly not early, but you're still a little bit late. You do see a number of people going in. The one thing that you notice is it is definitely not as many as who were at the party. It's a very slow trickle. You see a lot of the same people that you saw before. You definitely see Stuart Portman go in. You also see one of the couples that you talked to previously, who I'm trying to remember the name. If you recall, you talked to two couples that their husbands were in like importing and then some other local businesses. You see one of the couples go in. The rest of the people the rest of the people that are going in are more on the younger crowd that you saw before. You see the gentleman, if you recall before, I believe it was in the parlor where they had a record player set up and they were dancing. You see all of the people that were in that room. You see the piano player that you saw go in. And in fact, shortly after he goes in, you can hear the piano start up. But other than that, you're really not seeing any like what you would consider wealthy people. Harvey and Benjamin, go ahead and give me hide rolls or sneak. I can't remember what the skill is.
Hard pass. Wait a minute,
right.
Might be extreme. 60, 12, 16. No, it's a hard. 16.
Just a regular
Okay.
pass for me.
That's enough. So you're both able to kind of position yourselves in the yard or on the property somewhere where you can very easily see what's going in the front. You can see into Ariadne's bedroom. I think that's the window that you were going to position yourself as.
Correct. Yeah.
The window to her bedroom is open. You can even see the bushes below. They still look a little bit smushed from where she had fallen. Her bedroom is the lights are off. So the other three of you. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
Is there a trellis that goes up the side of the house where I could climb up to the window?
Yeah.
There is not. No.
A tree.
Let's grab a ladder.
Give me a luck roll.
Boom.
75 is not a pass.
Oh, darn it. Missed by 1.
Nope. Unfortunately, there's no trellis. There's no tree. You do have a decent view into the room. I mean, you can't see everything. You can, like maybe see 2 or 3 feet into it from where you back off. There is like an adjoining wall fence type thing between this house and the next door. So you can only go back so far, but at least you have a little bit of view in there. Okay. The other three of you, the Vandermollens and Dr. Bentz, you arrive there. You said you were going to show up a little bit after 8. You get there and Frida opens the door. She obviously recognizes you from the previous party and kind of eyes you over a little bit, but then finally steps to the side and lets you in. As you enter in the foyer, again, just like I described to the others, there are some guests here already, and more trickle in within the next, we'll say like 15, 20 minutes. But you definitely see that there are much fewer people than the previous party. In fact, the whole tone of the party itself, the people who are there, is very much more somber. It's not as jubilant as it was before. Even the piano player in the library, he's really just playing like classical music. Before the previous party, every once in a while he would like go into jazz, or he was doing a lot of jazz on the piano. It's really just kind of somber. At one point, he does try to start playing jazz, and nobody kind of starts dancing, or it doesn't pick up the mood, so he immediately switches back. That being said, there are a couple workers there. Dr. Bent, you do recognize them as, or at least some of them as students from Miskatonic. However, Dottie Harris is not there. The alcohol, as before, is out as well. The only thing that's really the same as before outside of the alcohol and the food is again in the one room in the dining room. The same couples who had the record player going. They're in there kind of dancing, but you do get the idea that they're kind of young and maybe oblivious to the mood of everybody else. Within a short amount of time, most of the people you think arrive. Glenda does arrive, I should say too. She immediately goes over and attaches herself to Thaddeus, talking your ear off, really, pulling you to get a drink. She does kind of see how the mood of the place. She can read the mood of the place and so on. And so instead of pulling you over to try and talk to others like she did before, she's really just kind of sticking with you. Within a short amount of time, Ariadne and Zoltan do come down. Ariadne is not wearing the same dress as before, but she's wearing this very sleek black dress, very tight fitting. She looks very good, and she is very bright and loud and jubilant, despite how everybody else is bouncing around from room to room talking to people. Zoltan, on the other hand, while he is still dressed up very similarly to the way that you saw him before, he's almost brooding and sullen. He isn't very talkative. We'll get into it if you all try to talk to him. I'm just trying to describe everything for you at the moment. So with that, what are the three of you going to do?
It's a little difficult for my father here to get away from his date, so I think I will try to sneak my way upstairs.
Okay. Go ahead, and Dr. Benz, what are you going to do?
I've definitely noticed the mood around them, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe, since I did at least have something of a rapport with Zoltan before, maybe I could use that to try and plant a seed of doubt in his head.
Okay. All right. And then Thaddeus, even though Glenda's kind of hanging on you, are you going to try to do anything?
Given the somber tone, the spread is as nice as last time or better?
It's as nice as last time.
Does it seem as though they over-catered for the smaller turnout?
Absolutely. You really get the feeling that they were, and when I say they, based on the mood of the two of them, this is very much Ariadne's party. Mm-hmm. That she assumed that they would have a turnout as big, or if not bigger, than the previous one.
Right. She was looking to a grand finale and a fond farewell, despite the fact that there was a death at the last party. And and it's a Thursday. Some people have to work after all. Mm-hmm. For the first, hour plus, I'm going to, sort of wander around with Glenda and make nice. And again, look at the rented furniture and the lent art and the house, and to see, again, try to put together, now that I know that he was, tried and convicted of operating a Ponzi scheme, I have a little bit of a sense of what vague realm of criminal activity is going on. So I'm looking for any signs of angry investors or, where some money went. I'm also hoping that once people get juiced up, people will be less somber.
Okay.
Or there'll be more playful latecomers.
Give me a spot hidden roll.
25. That's just regular.
As you wander around, the only person that, I mean, everybody's drinking. The only person that is really over excessively drinking, at least in the beginning, is Stuart Portman. Just like the previous party, he has parked himself next to the bar, and even by 8:30 is 3 sheets to the wind. But however, the one thing you do notice is, as you and Glenda just kind of, go from room to room and you're looking around at things, you do notice that you remember seeing some of the nicer paintings on the walls previously. Those are no longer on the walls. And in fact, in a couple of spots, you can almost see like the little
shadow,
the shadow of where they could be. It seems like they were taken down. You're not sure why, if somebody had taken them back or they, had packed them up or something, but they're definitely not up there. Garland, and we'll get to Dr. Bentz. We'll get to you here in a minute. Garland, you said you were going to try to sneak upstairs. Is that correct? So I'm not even going to make you roll. It's with as few people there. The biggest person you probably need to watch out for is Frida, but you're able to very easily find a time where nobody's in the foyer and you can sneak upstairs very quickly. So you are able to make it to upstairs.
All right, and upstairs and an immediate right.
Okay. And into Ariadne's room.
Yep.
Okay. You go into Ariadne's room. It is similar to how you remember it previously. As you step in, you do get a chill down your spine, remembering the last time you were here and seeing Eugene dead on the rug, although the rug is no longer there. What are you going to do when you go in?
Once I'm in, I want to start looking at drawers. I want to, look. I just want to, look. Try to find, if there's anything stashed away. We've talked about drugs, syringes, weapons, something like what's in here. What is she planning to do later? What is? Yeah.
Okay. You go into her room. Are you doing this with the lights out? Are you turning the lights on and closing the door? What is your plan?
I want to leave it as I found it. So if the door was open when I was up there, I will leave it open.
Okay.
If the door was closed when I was there, I'll close it behind me.
It was cracked, so
we can see him, can't we?
Well, it depends. Are you turning? So you're gonna just leave the door cracked? Are you turning on the light?
Well, how good is visibility? I mean, if I can't
it's
see,
nighttime. It's pretty dark in there. I mean, you can. Your eyes will eventually adjust to the dark, but I mean, it's not like, you're gonna be seeing a lot. The moonlight does provide a little bit of ambient light, but not a lot.
Now I'm trying to think of how this layout is. If I turn on the light, is it going to be just very obvious?
From the outside, yes. From the inside, if you close the door, no, because unless somebody were on the second floor, they could obviously see the light underneath the door. Otherwise, if the door is closed, there's really no way from downstairs, even looking up at the door from the foyer, that you would be able to tell that the light was on.
Okay, I will close the door and turn on the light.
Okay, and then therefore, Benjamin and Harvey, you can see the light go on. As Garland is moving around the room, you do eventually see, kind of him, go in front of the window. As you start, looking through the room, there is obviously a bed. There is the closet. There's like a armoire, as well as a dresser and nightstand. You start looking through the through everything. Initially, you don't really find anything. The dresser basically just contains clothes. There's makeup and jewelry on top. You're not a jeweler, but the jewelry itself Doesn't look too expensive. A lot of it looks almost like party jewelry. But outside of that, nothing that's seems to be too extravagant. Where else are you going to look, I guess?
Everywhere I can think of. I mean, every drawer of the armoire, like everything in the dresser, the closet, underneath the bed, like
okay.
Every nook and cranny that I can get to.
So under the bed, it's going through everything. On top of the nightstand, you do find some American magazines, mostly about fashion and basically like the Hollywood style, magazines talking about the latest celebrities, things like that. In the closet, you do find a suitcase that is partially packed. It's got a number of pieces of clothes. You do find a wallet in there with an ID that does say Ariadne Madden. And then it does have a fairly decent amount of money in there. Not nothing that would really make you think, oh, this is pretty extravagant. But definitely has a decent bit of money in it. So you've been up there, looking through this stuff so far for, we'll say, 20 minutes or so. And that leaves, the only thing that you had not gone through yet was kind of the wardrobe that she has, which is almost like a standing armoire or wardrobe.
Okay. So before I do that, I just want to say, so that wallet with the ID, I know from what we've talked about that Armand and Belvedere are outside. So I'm going to casually toss that out to them. Like, I don't know where they are outside, but I am just going to like, doop.
Okay. So Benjamin Harvey, you kind of see Garland peek out, and he tosses something, it kind of flips around and floats down. You get it, and it's definitely her ID.
Are they picture IDs back then?
I was just wondering that. I don't think they were actually in the 20s.
Yeah.
But it would still have been in her possession. So before we talk about you doing the final search of the room, Dr. Bentz, you start tracking down. You said you wanted to talk to Zoltan. Right. Between one thing that you and actually Thaddeus, you would notice this as well. It seems like Ariadne is actually trying to avoid Zoltan, she'll like she did before. She's kind of floating from room to room, going, talking to people, again, being very jubilant, very, very happy and upbeat. But you do notice that once Zoltan kind of enters the room, she tends to leave the room shortly after. But with that, as you are in the parlor, Sybil, you're able to kind of, catch up to Zoltan.
Okay. And of course, at this point, I switch to Hungarian because I know he speaks it well enough that I think I can use this. And that way, no one's going to be able to eavesdrop on us except for her. And she's not here right now. I sort of slip into Hungarian as I sidle up to him. And I'm just like, Lord Varga, is something the matter? I couldn't help but notice your lowered spirits today.
He says he smiles and says, "Oh no, it's just the." I to be honest with you, I really wasn't in the mood to have a gathering tonight. But Ariadne insisted, and so you may have heard we're going to be going out west here to talk to some other people concerning our inheritance. We found out that there are some people out there that might be able to help us, and so we're leaving in the morning, and it's a lot on my mind, with the traveling and so on.
Out west? May I ask where?
It's out into Seattle.
Seattle, I see. Thankfully, as far as I'm aware, Seattle sounds decently similar in English. I'm hoping Thaddeus heard that.
I think, yeah, we'll say that you're close enough that, yeah,
Right.
you could.
Like, oh my, such a long way to travel, but they're the ones that can help you with this matter of yours?
Yes, it's kind of a complicated situation, and I don't want to bore you with it. But we found that some others from Hungary have traveled out there, and we think that they'll be able to assist us with getting the right information of who to talk to get our birthrights back. It's very complicated again, and I don't want to bore you with in the party.
Of course,
but
it's just I couldn't help but also notice that pardon my frankness, but it seems that perhaps there's been, aside from the party, there's something else perhaps on your mind that Lady Varga does not appear to share.
Oh, like what?
Well, she does seem to be, I thought perhaps she was cross with you. She seems to be leaving the room every time you enter.
Oh, well, she is as, she will be. It is what it is, and I wouldn't, concern. Please don't concern yourself with, any of this. It's, as things, tends to go, especially when you're going on a trip, you've got disagreements, and I think my niece would have preferred to stay here in Arkham longer. It is a lovely town, but it is best for us to at least temporarily go, and we'll return after we've found what we need to.
Certainly must be difficult though to leave all your friends or contacts, any beaux behind.
Oh, I'm sure. As you I think are hinting at, Ariadne has made a lot of friends of both female and male persuasions here, and because of that, she's a little hesitant to go. But again, we do need to follow up on our birthrights. It's something that we have both been going after for a long time, and this is really the time to do it.
I certainly don't disagree with that, but having spent a good portion of my life around young women, I must say, it's rather surprising what they can get up to and make their parents believe something quite different.
And as you say that, you can see his demeanor kind of changes a little bit, where he is, it's almost like you can kind of see him thinking on your words, and he kind of looks at you, and then looks at, you're in the parlor. If you recall, the parlor is one of the front rooms, but then there's the foyer, and then the library, or is it the library? Yes, the sitting room. And he kind of looks at you and kind of half smiles, and then looks over at the sitting room, where you can even hear Ariadne in there talking, and says, "I couldn't agree more. If you'll excuse me." And with that, he smiles, turns around, and walks across the foyer and into the sitting room.
As soon as he turns to walk away, I sort of sidle over, sort of past Thaddeus, lean over when Glinda's not looking, and murmur, "Seattle, and I think I've planted a seed."
As you see Zoltan walk into the sitting room, he kind of turns around the corner towards the. So in the sitting room, as soon as you walk in, on your left were some couches, and then the bar is right there. You can see him turn in that direction. He disappears from your view briefly, but almost within about 30 seconds, you can hear Ariadne yell out, "I've had enough. Leave me alone." Again, in the Hungarian accent, although that accent to your ears, now that you're listening for it, had definitely wavers. almost immediately, you see her storm into the foyer and start storming up the stairs. Zoltan yelling out to her, wait one second, come back here, following her up. Frida comes running out from the kitchen area, looking shocked and watching them go upstairs. Garland, give me a listen roll.
$49. This is not a time for 4 points of luck. 4 points of luck to pass that.
Okay, so you can hear the argument coming up the stairs, and you can do what you will.
Into whatever is closer, either under the bed or in the armoire if I can fit inside.
The armoire is definitely big enough for you to fit inside.
I don't like the look on your face when I said that, but that's what I said. Is it closer? Okay. If it's closer, I'm getting to whatever is closest to me.
Yeah, sure.
It's
closer.
It's fine.
So
yeah, it's closer. Let's go.
Give me a spot hidden roll though.
45 is a pass.
So you open the armoire. The armoire, meaning to go into it. As soon as you open up, something falls against you out of just pure reactionary, whatever. You kind of grab it and push it back. And for a second, you don't know what it is. You're confused because it feels like almost like a bunch of clothes fell on you. But you very quickly realize that whatever you grab, the clothes, they kind of crunch in your hand and you push it back and look. And it is Gordon Checkley, although his body has been desiccated and shriveled and gray, and there is white webbing all over it.
I just start screaming. Holy!
Give me a sanity check too.
Oh, 10 is a pass, but holy.
Okay, so you lose one. You start screaming. Those of you, actually all of you, I think would hear this. As soon as you start screaming, the door opens up and Ariadne is standing there with Zoltan behind. They both look like in complete shock at what they're seeing. What are you doing?
You bastards! McCoy, we know who you killed my friend. I'm just freaking out. I don't know what to do.
Harvey and I can hear him screaming, so we're running around at the front.
Yeah, I'm dashing for the stairs.
McCoy, Madden, just dropping their names and just freaking out.
At this point, this is where I sort of turn to the rest of the party, like the rest of the guests, and I'm yelling, "Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to inform you that our guests are giant frauds. And if I'm not mistaken, something very gruesome has been found upstairs. I would advise you either leave now or come with me."
So as you're saying this, Harvey and Benjamin, you're running around. You kind of got into the front porch at this point. Frida, for Thaddeus and Sybil tries to stop you, but is still kind of in shock. You can very easily push her aside. But upstairs, Garland, as you're the body of Checkley has now fallen to the ground. Zoltan has pushed Ariadne into the room. He slams the door shut and you can see him lock the door. And he goes, "I don't know what is going on here, but nobody is leaving until I get an explanation. Ariadne, what is the meaning of this?"
It's time for me to go out the window, I think.
You can.
I am prepared to.
Okay.
I am very much preparing to just leap.
Okay.
Aim for the bushes.
So I'm just gonna, tell me when, if and when you decide to do that. As soon as Zoltan says this, Ariadne spins around and looks in. The last you see of her face before she spins around is she, looks, in complete shock. With that, Zoltan is just screaming at her. By this point in time, Thaddeus and Sybil, you have gotten halfway up the stairs, and you can hear Thaddeus yelling. Shortly thereafter, though, as he's yelling at Ariadne, from your stance where you're at, Garland, you can see Ariadne just almost starts to convulse at first, just very slightly, and then she bends over, almost like she's doubled over in pain. Zoltan is just continuing to yell at her. As she bends over, you see her head kind of whip up, and it's no longer her, long flowing locks. They have the hair has basically started to fall off, and her body has started to expand.
It's time for with the sand roll. I think that's coming. That is when I will.
Okay, so go ahead and make the sand roll as this happens.
28. Huh.
Is that? I assume that's a pass. 1d3, and you contain your. You let out another scream, but you can if you want to, you can jump out the window.
I am jumping. I don't want to end up like the person and people in the freaking webbed up in the closet. What the hell?
So you jump out the window. Go ahead and give me a dodge roll.
Trying to dodge the ground.
Aim for the bushes.
Aiming for the bushes. Now I roll Terra. 68.
Try to land on your feet.
That's like, oh my god.
It's going to be a d6 if you fail of damage. It will be half that if you pass.
Yeah, no, just 68 is so far off my dodge.
Okay, so you jump out. You kind of half hit the bushes, but the ground takes the most of your impact, and you take d6 in damage. Dr. Bentz and Thaddeus, you have made it to the top of the stairs at this point. Benjamin and Harvey, you are inside the foyer. You can see the commotion. All the other people in the party have started to gather in the foyer, very confused as to what's going on. As soon as the two of you, Thaddeus and Sybil, you get to the top of the stairs and start making your way over to Ariadne's room, you hear a scream, but it's not Ariadne's scream. It's a scream of a man.
It's a scream of a McCoy.
There's
only one door to Ariadne's room, and it's right on the landing.
Yes.
Is it? And obviously it's locked.
It's locked. Yes.
Kick it open.
And it took two of us to get in last time. Yeah, well, I'll just start banging on it and saying, "It's over! It's over! Get out of there!"
You don't, hear anything. As far as you can tell, it has gone silent inside.
I'm sort of hanging back, but I'm like, the scream that I heard, did it sound like Garland to me?
No,
that wasn't Garland.
No, Garland just took a major wound, losing 6 points of health outside.
It sounded like that was obviously a fake Hungarian scream. I'd know my boys scream anywhere.
Right.
So with a 50, that's my 55 con. So 50 is a pass. So I am conscious with a broken leg, and I am just screaming in pain outside. So
you're not at 0 though, right?
I am not at 0.
Okay.
I took 6. I rolled at 6 out of my 11 health, which is over half.
Yeah. So it's major
wound. And I passed my con, so I'm conscious of all the pain that a major wound entails. So I am just helpless out on the grass.
All right.
At this point, I'm kind of pointless trying to open a door or whatnot. So I'm like,
I'm yelling, get the fuck out of the way as I'm running up towards
Yeah,
Benjamin
right
and
to that
Harvey,
door.
you
With my
have made it
gun
to the
out.
top of the stairs too. Frida has come along with you to the top of the stairs.
I'm leaving. I'm dragging Thaddeus with me.
Okay.
Right to the door lock.
I'm just kicking it in.
Okay. Okay. Go for it.
Hands off me, woman.
I'm kicking it in with 5 points of luck.
Okay. You kick the door in. The door slams open. Inside the room, again, like I described to Garland before, it's very similar to what you saw before. Although, as the door slams open, and I think other than Garland, you are all standing right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. As you look in, you can again see the wardrobe open. You see Garland Checkley's body lying on the floor, seemingly having fallen out of it. Again, he is very desiccated and shriveled up. You see the 2 puncture wounds on his neck. Lying in the middle of the floor is Zoltan. He is grasping at his throat. His skin is like a ashen gray. And it is starting to peel off. You can almost look like it almost also looks like he's very gaunt and shriveled up, and he's kind of gasping. Everybody, give me a sanity check.
I
Other
didn't
than Garland.
Do we see Ariadne?
You do not see Ariadne.
Oh, that's a failure.
Pass.
If you make it, lose 1. If you fail, lose a d6.
Oh. Well, if the window is open, and it is open, I'm going to rush to the window to see if she's crawling across the ground.
Okay.
I don't know if she's a spider.
While you're doing that, I spin and I yell, "Murder! Murder! Look, Zoltan's dead!"
And I'll quickly open the room, the door to the dressing room. There's that attached dressing room.
Okay. I'm sorry, Thaddeus, what did you say you were doing?
I don't know where Garland is, so I'm looking around for him.
Okay.
I'm looking out the window. It's Garland.
Probably knife in hand, but yeah.
Garland, give me a listen roll, but at a with a penalty die.
It's hard to hear over myself.
Exactly.
At 69 is already not great, and it turned into an 89. So really,
the only thing you can hear at the moment is the heartbeat in your ears from the amount of pain you're in. So as all of this happens, number of things going on. Harvey, you rush in, you open up the door to the closets area. Nothing in there other than what I previously described. Thaddeus, you're trying to, you're looking around the room for Garland. You don't see him, and again, you don't see Ariadne as well. Dr. Betts, I'm sorry. What were you doing?
I spin to yell to the crowd downstairs, "Murder! Lord Vargas dead!"
All right. So as you spin around to do that, you are about to start saying that when Frida just lets out a scream, and in the thickest Boston accent you have ever heard, she yells out, "He's dead! She killed him! He's dead!" And she just tears off down the stairs, making her way for the front door.
Stop her!
Benjamin, as you run to the window, you look down to see if Ariadne is down there. Down below, you see Garland lying on the ground, kind of, he's moaning. He's very much, squirming around in pain. So it's very obvious that he's not dead. But as you look down, you feel two claws or arms or something grab your shoulders and whip you out of the window. Thaddeus and Harvey, you would see this as well. Go ahead and give me, the two of you give me a sanity check. Benjamin, give me a sanity check too. Yours will be a little bit different.
Without a listen roll, I'm blissfully unaware of what's going on above me.
Yep, exactly. I
actually got a half.
Okay. So Thaddeus and Harvey, you lose 1 if you fail. If you passed D 4 if you failed, because as you see Benjamin lean out the window and look down, you see 2 almost like spider-like appendages reach down and grab him and just lift him up out of the window. Benjamin, you are flung onto the roof. It's very dark out still. The moon
Right.
is somewhat hidden, but you can make out this shape in front of you of this very large spider-like creature. In the shadows, it's hard to make out other than the 2 glowing eyes staring right at you. Did you say that you made your sanity check?
I did. Yeah.
All right, so then that would be a D3.
Okay. 2.
Okay. It lunges at you. What are you going to do?
Well, I actually have a question for you.
Yes.
Damage from getting flung up onto the.
Oh, yeah, good point. So you take 2 points of damage from being kind of roughly put out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was alert, so I had my gun in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Can I, if I'm point blank, can I just fire into it 3 times?
Yeah, I'll let you do that. But it is faster than you, so it gets to go first.
Okay.
So it is lunging at you. Are you going to try to dodge, or if you want, you can use your gun to kind of like parry it too, and so you can use it as a club. You want to fight back?
I will. I'll try to fight back. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
Trying to
brawl.
Got an 18 and my brawl is 65. So
Ooh.
I could actually spend 5 points and make it extreme.
Well, I'll tell you, you don't have to. I only rolled a regular success. So you see these 2 fangs and these red glowing eyes come right at you. You're able to use your gun to basically smack it in the face. Go ahead and roll, I don't know, D3 plus damage bonus. If you have a damage bonus, I don't know if you do.
I do.
Awesome.
I got a 1 plus damage bonus, which is 3. So I got 4 points total.
Okay. You smack it across the head. It lets out this kind of like almost like feminine scream that very slightly reminds you of Ariadne's voice, and immediately starts to back away. However, because you are you were ready, you can go ahead and shoot it.
Okay. And I'm going to try to do the 3.
That's fine. And you are point blank, so you get a bonus die.
Okay, first, let's see. So 22 out of 70. So that's a hard. That's the first shot.
Okay.
Then I do a regular, and then I do a penalty.
Yes, I believe that's.
Regular, I got a 26. And this is my penalty. I rolled an old 1, but let's see what the second roll is. 80. That is a fail.
So
2 times I got.
Okay, so 2 were a success. It does with the way that it's going, it does dodge out of the first one, but the second one you do hit. So go ahead and roll damage.
Okay, and this is a 45. Oh, it's right here on my thing. 45.
Plus 1.
1d10 plus 2.
2. Yeah.
10. So that's 12. Second one is 7.
Okay. So the rest of you, even you, Garland, yeah. So
hopefully the police heard my shots.
the 3 of you in the house, you hear this scampering going across the top of the roof. Then you hear the 3 gunshots. Garland, you hear the gunshots as well. From above, Benjamin, you see the thing scamper over across the roof over as you're shooting at it over the side, and you can hear it crawling down the side. And very shortly after, all of you hear glass breaking in the conservatory and screams coming from downstairs.
At which point I tell the rest of the crowd, if you value your lives, run.
But most of them look very confused, but have started to leave.
It's a giant spider.
So what are the rest of you going to do?
I will continue crying in pain.
All right.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm basically dashing outside to get either the police or Callie or both to get eyes on this thing and to try and stop it.
Okay. So,
or at least eyes on whatever this is. I don't know what it is right now.
All right. And then Thaddeus and Harvey.
Having seen that Benjamin was yoinked up by pincers, shiny black chitinous pincers, I'm going to look out the window very carefully. But I've also heard it running around. So and then I'm going to see that my boy is down there writhing around in the grass, and I'm going to run downstairs to his aid.
Okay. So you start running downstairs. Dr. Bentz is running downstairs. Harvey, what are you doing?
I'm going to the window where Ben got yanked up and yell up, Ben, are you okay?
It's a giant spider.
Dear God, are you safe now?
I think I hit it twice, but it's a giant spider.
Dear God. All right, I'll try to help get you down. So I'll try to find a way.
Kill it. I think Garland's down below me on the ground.
Oh, so the spider escaped. Okay, which direction?
It climbed over the house and down the other side.
And you can hear the screams from downstairs and the glass breaking and all.
All right, I'll head towards the glass breaking then.
Okay, so you start, that would mean that you're heading downstairs as well.
Yeah.
So by the time that the three of you get downstairs, which only takes 5 or 10 seconds.
I'm kind of stranded though, right up on the roof
for the moment. Yeah. Unless you want to jump off.
It's 3 stories where I am.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's fine. It's fine. I jumped from a lower height and I turned out just okay,
So I will also say, if you would like, you can start. The roof. It's not like a really a heavy pitch. So if you want to start crawling around the roof, maybe looking for another way out, you can do that as well.
At first, I'm going to go across the roof and where she went. In case she comes back up, I'm going to shoot her again.
Okay. You start heading over that way. You get to that side and you look down, and if you recall, the conservatory in the back, kind of stuck out. You can see where it's all shattered. There's glass inside. The other 3 of you, Sybil, Thaddeus, and Harvey, as you're going downstairs, again, it's kind of mass chaos. So you can't, Dr. Betts, I know you were trying to run outside. You can't just run outside because the crowd is there. Mm-hmm. But as that happens, as all 3 of you get to the bottom of the stairs, you can hear this commotion from the sitting room, and with that coming into from the sitting room, you see this giant, gigantic brown black spider, swollen body with these 8 waving spiked legs. What's most disturbing about this is the face. It has 2 long two long fangs that are dripping with this greenish ichor. It has the red glowing eyes, but its face has a slight resemblance to Ariadne. The 3 of you give me sanity checks, since this is the first time you've seen it.
Now I fail.
If you pass. If you pass, it's a D3. If you fail, it's a D6 plus 3.
Good time for my first pass.
I don't actually have a D3, so that should be a D6 divided by 2.
Yep, correct.
Right. Okay.
Plus 5.
2? Okay.
Harvey, go ahead and give me an intelligence check.
Oh, Lord.
Thaddeus, how much did you?
Oh, 2. Yeah, that's
nice.
an extreme. I really know what's happening.
You absolutely know what is in front of you. You know what? Give.
Do I pull a Eugene special?
So you see, the spider, and with all of the discussions that you've been having and everything you're talking about, for a fact that this is Ariadne. She is somehow turned into this giant spider. As this happens, the only thing that you can think of is when you first barged into the room upstairs in the first party and you had those webs, and it feels just like there are spider webs all over your body. You know how that feeling when you walk through a spider web and you just start going, trying to rip it off? That's what you're doing for the next 4 rounds, is you are just trying to get these spider webs off of you. Dr. Bentz and Thaddeus, you see, the spider come into view. It takes you a second, and you realize that the spider is holding Stuart Portman, and you can see how with like 2 of its claws, hands, whatever you want to call it, it pulls it close to her and says, "You've been trying to get with me for forever. Now is your chance." And with that, she sinks her claw or her fangs right into Stuart, and he just starts to gurgle as this blood starts to pour out of his mouth.
At this point, how far away from us is she?
Maybe like, I don't know, 6 or 7 feet at most.
At which point, I just give a look at Thaddeus, grab Harvey, hope he gets the message, and start heading back up the stairs. Exit stage window at this point.
All right, Thaddeus, what are you doing? Are you going along with her?
No, I'm grabbing the banister of the stairs, and I say, "Ariadne Madden, you are not at Naka. Let that poor fuck go."
And she, so lots of things going on here. Garland, what are you doing with when all this is happening? You can hear there's commotion going inside.
I will limp.
All right, so you're slowly
I'm slowly getting over there. What is going on?
Okay.
I know it's a giant spider. I saw her turn into the damn thing. I am.
So you are slowly limping to the front. Well, I'll say by this point, you kind of get around the corner of the house. You can see people streaming out. Dr. Bentz, actually, Dr. Bentz and Harvey, both of you give me strength checks because if you're going to pull him upstairs, he's going to be struggling against you, at least for a couple rounds.
A standard only success.
Okay.
Success.
Okay. So you both had standard successes?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you're kind of able to, Sybil, you're kind of able to pull him. It's very difficult to do so because he's struggling against you, but you get a couple steps up. Benjamin, kind of an odd question, but do you smoke? Does Benjamin smoke?
Oh, no.
Okay. All right. So before we get to Thaddeus, what are you doing? You're still on the roof.
I'm on the roof. Is there an attic window? Some way for me to get inside so I can go downstairs?
You know what? I will say that yes, there is an attic window up there.
Okay. Probably a small one.
It's small, but you're going to be able to get through it. You're going to wiggle a little bit to get in, but you're going to be able to get in there.
Okay. So it probably doesn't open. I'll just smash it with my gun.
Okay.
And hopefully there's either stairs or a ladder going down.
Okay. So you smash it. It's going to take you about a round to get through, to crawl through into the attic. So I'll jump back to you in a second. Thaddeus, you yell at Ariadne, the spider creature, at this point and say basically that you need to put him down. And if she could smile, she does. Her mouth opens and even more of that greenish ichor drips from her fangs as she looks at you and says, "With pleasure." Give me a dex roll.
Oh dear. The odds are just slightly against me. A little. Oh, 11. Ha ha ha.
So
It's hard.
she takes Stuart Portman still in her hands and throws him at you. He lands, very easily misses you, but you hear a kind of a sickening crack as his body lands against the banister. The banister itself was wooden, and you can see how it has not only has he kind of broken a little bit, but the banister itself has broken a little bit. And she, with that, she starts to scramble towards you. As she does, you can hear her and Dr. Bentz and Harvey, in some way you can hear this as well, her saying, "Children, I'm coming for you," as she makes her way directly for the stairway. Benjamin, you can kind of, you kind of fall into the attic. It is pitch black. You can kind of hear the commotion coming from the floors below you, but it's very muffled. But give me a listen roll.
Uh, 60. What is my listen? Is 20. No, I don't hear anything.
All right, so
I hear the commotion.
Yeah, you hear the commotion, and you start kind of making your way across. Yeah,
feel around if there's a pull cord.
There's no. So you're feeling around. You don't feel any pull cord up here. You kind of suspect that there might not be any like lights or electrical up here, but as you maybe like. Am I correct that you would be kind of slowly making your way across as you can't see anything in case you were?
Yeah, there's got to be a square somewhere on the ground, with probably some 2x4s around it where there's
right. So you're trying to feel around for that. So you're slowly making your way
with my feet,
Yeah. Okay. So you're slowly making your way across, and you as you get maybe probably 5 feet into the attic, and your feet kick something that feels kind of solid. It gives a little bit, but you're not quite sure what it is.
Bodies.
It doesn't. No, it definitely does not feel like what a body is. I'll tell you that. Although it's definitely not a piece of wood.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep going. I've got to see if I can find the way. Maybe a dead rat.
Okay. So you start continuing forward a little bit more. As you get a little bit farther, you do start to hear something. You hear almost like this scrambling and scratching along the floor. And after you hear that, you kind of realize that it's not just in one area of the floor. It seems to be coming from all over. And at that point, you hear what you can best describe as children's voices. And it's very clear that one of them goes, "Mommy, is that you, Mommy?"
Fuck me, I'm diving out that fucking window.
With that, back downstairs, Thaddeus, Dr. Bentz, and Harvey, what are you doing? Harvey, you're still kind of,
Yeah, I'm still freaking.
At this
still.
point,
Okay.
I'm getting him up. I'm trying to get us up till he's the way out that doesn't involve her.
Okay.
And if I have to, I will slap Harvey. Get him to get back to his senses.
Okay. Thaddeus, what are you doing?
Contrary-wise, as soon as she says something about coming to babies, I'm going to vault over the opposite banister.
Okay.
Because I do not want to be on her route to her babies, and I do not want to try to go up to get away from the spider.
Okay. You vault over the floor or the opposite banister. You weren't that far up, so you're not going to take any damage from it. As she very quickly scampers across the floor and starts going up the banister, or not the banister, the stairs to the upstairs. Dr. Bentz and Harvey, you both are right in the way, and as that she goes and as she's passing by you, she reaches out to try to basically attack both of you. You can either fight back or dodge.
I'm dodging.
Okay. Harvey, you're still kind of doing this, but I'll let you make a decision on what you want to do.
I'll just fall backwards onto the ground and pray with bullets.
Okay.
I'm
right,
stunned, so I'm not being athletic.
Sybil, what did you roll?
Oh, hang on. Okay, that's a fail, but I've got enough luck that at this point it doesn't matter anymore. Pass.
I rolled a critical success. So as she's passing you, two of her arms reach out, grabbing you, pulling you close, and she don't worry about spending your luck. I won't make you do that since it was a critical success. You would have failed regardless. She grabs you, and you can feel the two. You can feel her bite down into you, and as she does, first off, take you take 4 points of damage from the bite itself, and you can feel the poison start to inject itself into you. Go ahead and give me a Constitution roll.
Okay. Yeah, that's a fail. Now, can I possibly spend the luck to not pass out?
You would need to make a critical success in order to do so.
Dang it. Okay.
So you can feel the poison start to go through your body. You take another 3 points of damage, and you are paralyzed. She, as she bites into you, she then tosses you down the stairs. And Thaddeus, you can see Dr. Bentz just fall limp onto the foyer. Harvey, go ahead and roll.
Right there. Do I get a bonus for being basically right next to her?
Not since you're.
Yeah, I'm freaking out. Yeah, you're right. Oh, darn it. That is dirty, rotten. That's going to be a lot of luck to make it a hit. Okay, I'm going to.
I'm not lying. I've rolled a 4.
Oh.
Oh, this is no. I'm shooting. I'm not doing a brawl.
No, she's attacking you.
Yeah, she's attacking you as she goes by.
Oh, 4.
And you were firing. I'm letting you fire back, but the bullets are just going wild. She as she goes by you, as you're down there, she grabs, and two of her claws just go directly into both sides of your arms. You take 9 points of damage as it just kind of rips down your arms. You can feel just this immense amount of pain. With that, she continues to scamper up the stairway. When she gets to the top of the stairs, she immediately makes a left and starts going down the hall. Benjamin, you're going back to the window.
I'm trying to get the hell out the window because I think they're spider babies.
Go ahead and give me a dex roll.
51 is a pass, regular.
All right, so you are able to you start scrambling back towards the window. You can feel your feet kicking something on the ground, but you're able to scramble up to the window itself, start to scramble out. One of the last things you feel, though, as you kind of get to the window, you plant your feet down in order to kind of boost yourself up, because it's a little bit up there. It's probably at I don't know, face height, you can feel this like squish, and you hear this almost like childlike scream. Go ahead and give me a sanity check for that, but you're able to scramble out the window.
99 on my sanity roll.
Okay. So take a D. Normally it would be a D4, but we'll say that you're just so freaked out, it's a D6.
6.
Give me
intelligence.
Give me an intelligence check.
Oh yeah, I know what it is.
All right, so you absolutely know that whatever you stepped on was this blasphemous children of Ariadne.
I didn't even see it, but I know it's there.
You absolutely do. With that,
will you roll for an effect?
Yeah, go ahead and roll. I'll let you roll.
6. That doesn't make sense. That's paranoia.
Actually, that's fine if you roll that. Because I actually wrote down a bunch of alternative insanities to use.
Okay.
You rolled outside of that. So you the light for whatever reason starts to either you're hallucinating that you can see in there or that you can actually see with the light, but now you can see the walls in this attic, and you can just see them almost like bulging out with spiders moving all on the walls, or like they're trying to push through the walls at you. So for the next 5 rounds or so, your soul you need to get rid of these spiders somehow. They're coming after you.
Well, in that case, it seems like the natural thing to do would be to jump off the roof after I've gone out the window.
Okay, I think that's fair. So you start scrambling out the window.
Right.
The rest of you, what are you doing?
I'm unconscious, so unless someone carries me out, I'm going nowhere.
I am at the front door and I'm screaming for Thaddeus.
And having watched it scuttle up the stairs and toss Dr. Bentz down them, I was on my way out to see the lad and to his injuries. The 2 bottles of the strongest alcohol on the table, I will tuck under an arm.
Okay.
I will bend over to Dr. Bentz and see if there's any chance for her.
I'm breathing. I'm just not moving.
Yeah, she's definitely still alive and breathing. She's just
right.
not moving.
So catch lad, and I'll toss him each of the bottles of maybe 1 vodka and 1 gin, and I'll grab her by her 2 arms and start dragging her out. She's in the foyer. It's right by the stairs, because we're going to smash those bottles of liquor in the foyer and startle a fire.
Harvey, at this point, you have. I assume you're still alive. First off,
yeah, I'm alive, and I passed my con roll,
okay.
So I didn't pass out.
So you are, just in a lot of pain, but you are able to move if you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get down the stairs and get out. I'm not too well off, so I don't think I can help Thaddeus with Dr. Sybil, because I took 9 out of 14. I only have 5 hit points left, so I'm very injured.
So you start, kind of half limping, crawling down the stairs. Blood is, just oozing out of you, dripping all over. By the time you get to the bottom of the foyer, Thaddeus, you are pulling Dr. Bentz out. Garland, you have the liquor. Benjamin, you have made it onto the roof itself.
Right.
Like you said, your goal is to get off the roof. So you are just,
I'm going to jump.
Yeah, you are just going, the shortest path therein. First off, go ahead and give me a luck roll.
Okay. 22. That's a pass.
Okay, and then give me a guess would be Garland, what did I have you roll before? Was it dodge? Dodge. Go ahead and give me a dodge roll.
Dodge. Okay. 90.
Okay. So go ahead and normally it would be 3d6 because you are kind of like 3 stories up.
Right.
But because you made your luck roll, there is a set of bushes that you kind of fling yourself onto. So it's only 2d6 of damage.
Only
1 and 2. I only did 3 points of damage.
So
I just
you
sprained my ankle a little bit.
you kind of land on the ground, hitting these bushes, scraped up all over the place. Your ankle is twisted, but other than that, you seem to be somewhat okay. The rest of you, Thaddeus, Garland, you've got these alcohol. You're all outside, at least on the front porch, if not further away.
I think it's time to make with the arson and get the hell out of here.
Yeah, although if we've seen Harvey get out or get down, then I'm going to drag him out.
Yeah, you've definitely seen Harvey. Dr. Bentz, you're conscious. You know what's going on. You just can't move.
Yeah.
None of you know though where Benjamin is.
Okay.
So we'll put Bentz on the lawn. You start splashing booze around. I'm going to drag the. Oh, Harvey's a mess though. Good God.
Cops here yet?
God damn. We got to get Ben. Ben.
You told the cops to come around 11:30 or so, and this all happened at least by 9:30.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You see my eyes kind of flicker around like I'm trying to you can kind of tell that like I'm trying to show you that I'm alive, but
I think that's Morse code for "I told you so."
there's no actually, you know what? I start very rhythmically blinking.
We got you. We didn't leave you behind.
So I think it would probably be easiest just to kind of narrate the rest of what happens.
Okay.
Thaddeus and Garland, you are sprinkling the alcohol around the house with the purpose of lighting it. Garland, as you're going by, you do run into Benjamin, who has made his way to the front. Harvey and Dr. Bentz, or I guess Dr. Bentz, you're kind of being dragged along with Thaddeus. Harvey, you're able to make yourself out. As Benjamin and Garland come back to the front, who's lighting the flames? All right, Thaddeus, you probably in a dramatic fashion take a lighter and light it, throw it in, and the alcohol just immediately springs up very quickly. You remember this house was, not the best houses. It was a little bit run down, so it wasn't, in the best of shape, and immediately starts to just flames go up very, very quickly. As the house starts to become engulfed in flames, all of you can almost hear these squeals and screams from inside amongst all of the flames as they go up. Within a short amount of time, the police and the fire arrive. Are you going to stick around for them?
No.
Okay.
Well, we have to leave Bentz and Belvedere to get hospitalized. And we have a lot of witnesses, but there's no reason to. Oh, your leg. I mean, we have a lot of witnesses to a murder or to a scene.
Yeah, and you also have a reporter and a photographer who were taking pictures as you were lighting up the house.
Right.
Kill her. No.
Well, I suppose can't really run away.
So again, just to kind of narrate the rest of this, the house goes up in flames. Callie Smith and her photographer were there taking pictures as this was going on. They could also hear the screams from inside. As this all plays out, the police do arrive. Dr. Bentz, you do recover after about a day or so. After some pretty heavy antidotes that the doctors, try on you. You do eventually recover, although not fully. You always have like a twitch or so, or every once in a while, something just kind of randomly gets paralyzed. Harvey, you definitely have scars, and Garland, from your fall, you walk with a limp for a while. The police do perform an investigation into this, and given the at least the evidence against you surrounding the arson, they do file charges against all of you. However, the Wilcoxes do step in and help you not only with legal fees, but also uncovering some of the fraud that was being perpetuated by Zoltan and Ariadne. So you don't go unscathed out of this, but in the end, compared to what it could be, it would be minor. That being said, you all saw the otherworldly, blasphemous creatures and things from beyond, and all of you completely understood what was going on through everything, and that does not leave you unscathed through the rest of your lives.
Yeah.
With that is the end of the scenario.
Wow. Okay. So questions and answers. What was their scam? What were they up to?
You all guessed it. Their scam was to pretend to be Hungarian nobles or displaced Hungarian notables, and they were going around basically trying to gather money from various people around Arkham. The parties originally were to kind of bring in more marks. However, as they went longer and longer, Ariadne almost became, basically became the party girl and enjoyed the attention at the parties, and they became more lavish. So they kind of turned into that. One of the things that, each day of the week, you could have followed both Ariadne and Zoltan. And Ariadne, while she doesn't go around hitting up marks, Zoltan definitely does. So if you had followed Zoltan on any of the other days, you would have seen him going to various people, and if you would have figured out who they were, you were asking about the rich people if they were going to showing up at the parties. He was going to them throughout the week.
So the party was the cover, and the scam was going on when there was no party.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's why we didn't see any scam going on.
The
parties were going on even though they were no longer relevant to the scam.
Right.
Yeah, the parties were really to initially they were to kind of make their name in Arkham, and then to keep up appearances that they were this rich Hungarian nobles. But it ended up with Ariadne kind of taking them over, doing the bacchanal, and just kind of making it her own whatever.
So when did she meet Atlach-Nacha?
And this is one of my biggest pet peeves of this scenario, and actually most scenarios for that matter, is there's really no way for you to uncover this. But what ends up happening is, so as you, I think, guessed, Devin McCoy, Zoltan, eventually at some point found Ariadne. The backstory is that she was basically like a call girl, kind of making her way. She tried to scam him, and he caught on to it, and basically instead of kicking her away, he kind of brought her into the fold so that they could both be kind of partners. As this went on, the pressure for Ariadne to kind of maintain this role of the Hungarian noble woman, what kept getting to her, and so she started drinking and taking pills. That kind of quelled her restless nights. However, her subconscious started to basically enter into the dreamlands, and through her wanderings in the dreamlands, she eventually found Atlak Nacha, or however you want to pronounce the name, and her subconscious made a pact with the Great Old One, and that's it. It would basically, in the real world, overwhelm her, and she would change into slowly start to change into this, spider creature. So she wasn't completely aware of what was going on. If you had confronted her about it, she really would not have understood fully what was going on. And in fact, when you had found Checkley and they had come in, she legitimately was shocked because she did not remember basically killing him.
Did she kill Eugene?
No, Eugene did actually kill himself
when she started to change.
When she started to change, he had gone up there. She basically involuntarily started to change, and that basically caused him to go crazy and kill himself. That's why, again, as you guessed, that's why the webs were in there and so on.
But when she changed back to normal, the webs went back to the dreamlands.
Correct.
Right.
That's why they disappeared. Okay.
Okay.
Benjamin, if you had had some light source while up in the attic, or another way that this happens, if you go. Basically, she's trying to get to her children. You were absolutely correct that there was just basically baby spiders all over the attic. If you kill her, that's when you also hear them up there. But if you actually see them, you see that they are these large bloated spiders, anywhere from the size of a fist to a basketball. But their faces resemble Zoltan. They resemble Eugene, as well as who is the other, Roger Hudson. I would have had as well.
No
Probably
babies.
not Eugene.
No babies with Blaylock.
Oh yeah, Blaylock. Sorry.
No time for
Why did I say
Eugene.
Hudson? Yeah,
Blaylock. The previous successes.
So interesting thing about Blaylock, he is not in the scenario. Hopefully I was able to convincingly put that, but the scenario does not talk about any of her previous lovers. You all kept going down that route, and initially I was, oh yeah, sure, you just can't find anything, but you kept going after it. I'm like, all right, screw it, I'm putting it in. And so that's where Blaylock came from. He was completely made up. I kind of invented that whole backstory and how he became obsessed with her. I think the backstory I had created for him was she had started to change when he was with her, and he had kind of gone crazy, and that's why he was drinking. That's why he kept saying about the spiders and they were coming for him, and how you needed to save her and all of that.
Right.
That was
totally
really
seamless.
That was really interesting part of the story.
It really was.
Yeah.
Good. You all went down a number of places that are not in the scenario, honestly, which is good. Honestly, I think that's good. Additionally, so the way that the scenario goes is it kind of expects you basically to trail them for the entire week, slowly uncovering all of this information as you do. We started doing that, and you started doing that, but then you started going on in all the other directions with Taylor and Hudson, the two victims. How the scenario has you find them is one day you trail Ariadne. She goes to the cemetery and puts flowers on 2 graves, and it's their 2 graves. So she kind of knows that, she was involved in their deaths and does have some guilt around it. With them, I think you kind of uncovered some of their stories or kind of figured it out with, let me see here, with Hudson, who was the one who was found in the alley. He definitely was somebody who had gone to one of her parties. He had left the party. She had followed him and turned into a spider and killed him in one of the alleys. Taylor, who was the fire victim, she had gone out one night and basically just stumbled into him in this building, ended up killing him, and then setting fire to the place to kind of hide it. So that was the story behind that.
Okay.
You brought forth a very primal creep out in my life. When I was a kid, there was, we were talking about black widows earlier. Black widows are like big fat black grapes. And there was one crawling across our garage floor, and I ran over and I stomped on it, and it popped like a grape. And I've never gotten over that. It was so fucking gross. So when I stepped on one of the spider babies,
it's a really good thing you didn't have a flashlight.
It was horrible.
You would not have made it out of the attic if you'd had a flashlight.
I'm not going to lie. I was kind of hoping that Garland would go up into the attic, because then what my plan was is, assuming that you would have gone insane, which you were pretty close, I think, or would have been at that point. You would have seen the spiders with Eugene's face and wanted to protect them. You would have seen Eugene in them.
Little Eugene.
You're alive.
Our players included David Gasquay, Stuart Lively, Jen Obertaz, Morgan Llewellyn, and myself, with Tyler Hudak as the keeper of the secrets. We have a Discord server where you can chat with our other members. You can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows, free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.
Just cast an eye while in her direction. Oh me, oh my, that perfection. I repeat, don't you think that's kind of neat? I ask you confidentially, ain't she sweet?